welcome back to Rolling the Bomb. I'm your host, Zach Moyer. We're back for the Rolling the Bomb podcast, man. I'm excited to jump into today's topics. Lots of stuff to discuss from the Coca-Cola 373 weekend. Kyle Larson, 500. Lots of silly season news. I mean, silly season is getting wild, and I think it's going to get even more wilder than it already is. I got my trusty old water. Gotta stay hydrated also. My mouth dries up way too quick when I talk. But let's get into the biggest news of the weekend. Stewart-Haas Racing officially announces that they are shutting down. And again, of the 2024 season, pretty much made a difficult decision to close Stewart-Haas Racing at the conclusion of the 2024 season. It is a decision that did not come easily, nor it was not made quickly. So this decision to close Stewart-Haas Racing was not made quickly. Really disappointing. Over 300 employees going to have to find new jobs. Hearing what Ronnie Childers said, they told the drivers into a meeting, then they brought the crew chiefs, and then they addressed the entire team about this decision. There was rumors, rumblings. I feel like we kind of saw this coming, maybe in the future. Stewart-Haas Racing, I felt like they were on the decline ever since maybe 2020, excuse me. Now, 2020, I think Kevin Harvick won like 8 or 9 races. He was dominating in that series. But ever since the next gen car, they have lacked speed, competition. Kevin Harvick won 2 races in 2022. That was it. And Kevin Harvick will probably end up being their last ever win race. I don't know. I would love to see, I think this year they've been really, really good. I would say they have been a lot better than this year, a lot more competitive. A much younger crop of drivers: Noah Gragson, Ryan Preece, Josh Berry, Chase Briscoe. And all 4 charters are up for sale. And according, we already have some breaking news. The Front Row Motorsports has acquired a charter. Now, we don't know if that charter is a Stewart-Haas charter. It has not been officially if that is a Stewart-Haas charter, but that's what it looks like. Also, 2311 and Trackhouse have also been, rumors swirling that they will probably be one of the people that get the charter. So, Front Row Motorsports, Trackhouse, and 2311 probably going to get one of those charters. The 4th one is unknown. We do not know about that one. And also, due to the fact that Stewart-Haas is selling all 4 of these charters, there's a chance that they're going to devalue them to around 20 to 30 million. Maybe 20 million. So, it'll be interesting to see who gets them. I see that being very likely. Yes, Front Row Motorsports has already acquired a charter. That's the plan. Not sure. I assume it's from Stewart-Haas. Not sure. There's nothing been out. That's not confirmed. But look, Front Row Motorsports, Tier 1 team, going to be upgrading to a 3rd charter, 3rd car. They have to find 2 new rides too, with Ty Gillen being the only one probably going to be coming back next year. Michael McDowell leaving. So it'll be interesting to see that. But let's get back to the Stewart-Haas thing. Look, to me, this is what my big issue is here. Tony Stewart in interviews in the past, when he gets talked about how, he gets, a lot of media has talked about he's not as committed. He's not as focused on this at Stewart-Haas, right? And he always brings up the fact that he doesn't make race cars go faster. He can't help that, right? His job is to hire the right people, bring the right people, which should all be true. But I do feel like having the boss around and looking like, people, if people see the boss around, well, that's definitely going to fire the employees up. And then, look, I heard Denny Hamlin talk about Joe Gibbs and what Joe Gibbs racing and what Joe Gibbs does as an owner. He's at the shop 24/7. He's going up to employees. He's telling, what do I need? What do I need to give you to make you better, right? That, to me, sounds like a great owner. Tony Stewart, to me, is not as involved. And even Gene Haas, I don't even know how much they're in at the shop. Tony Stewart is probably more focused on his drag racing team and probably spends way more time in that shop than he does his own race team that has freaking 4 cars. Look, man, Tony Stewart, he's freaking drag racing too. That guy doesn't have time for this. I hate it for the employees, over 300 people. But this, to me, this falls back on the ownership group. Their dedication level, I don't think is there. But at least they're getting out now. At least they're not dragging this thing on. Maybe that's one reason why they freaking lost their 4 that tier one support. The owners aren't putting that effort in. I'm not saying that's true. That's more my opinion. But, Stewart Haas has been on the decline. They were once a powerhouse Ford team, Chevy team, four-car team. 2018, I think every single one of their drivers won a race. Harvick, freaking took that team to a whole other level. He was dominating in that four-car. And I think one of the famous quotes that Kevin Harvick said was, in 6 months, Stewart Haas Racing went from forever to forward to for sale. I mean, Kevin Harvick has been very vocal, too, about the Stewart Haas situation. I mean, he even talked about when Kevin Harvick subbed in for Kyle Larson for North Wilkesboro practice. He asked, what's the difference between Hendrick and Stewart Haas? He says, well, it was nice seeing the owner twice a week. I mean, gosh, dude, to me, you cannot be successful. You can't run a successful business when you're not actually at the company. And you're not looking around. You're not watching the employees. You're not surveilling. Right? And again, there's people there in place to be be the owners of the place, be in charge. But dude, you're the freaking owner. And I'm probably more I'm probably pointing the finger more to Stewart. Gene Haas, I mean, look, he hasn't really been that good in race, and for both his freaking race teams have been pretty bad for a long time, at least for the past couple of years. I mean, Haas F1 team has been pretty, they're like a backmarker team in F1. They're not even that good. And then in NASCAR, they're not that good. I don't really think the money is that big of a deal for the owners. I mean, Gene Haas, billionaire, he probably can care less about how much money he gets for his charters. Now they're probably still going to sell them for what they're worth. And then Tony Stewart, I don't know if he really cares either. He's running a drag racing team, and look, his drag racing team is a lot more successful than his freaking race team. And it's probably because he's at the shop more at his drag racing team than he is his NASCAR team. Now, look, I'm kind of ranting, but I'm not surprised that they're shutting down. It just really, really sucks for the employees at Stewart Haas. There's going to be a lot of good people, I think, that work there, and they're going to hopefully go to a new home. It'll be interesting to see how that all unfolds. I think Noah Gragson, Josh Berry, and Chase Briscoe, I think, are all going to be able to find rides. Ryan Preece, I'm worried. He's probably the guy that has the least amount of support, sponsorship-wise. So I don't know what Ryan Preece will do. He'll go down to hopefully a top-tier Xfinity Series team, maybe a Truck Series team. Maybe he'll go back to modifieds because he's a really good modified racer. And then even the freaking Xfinity Series program, the Xfinity Series program, what is Ford going to do now? Are they going to go and put some more support into A&M Racing to help Haley Deegan out? Maybe we'll see there. Or they'll put some more support in Orion and Ryan C. Racing or Viking Motorsports. So that's also the thing. Ford's losing a really top-tier Xfinity Series team. So there's a lot interesting to see there. I'll be curious to see if any of those, Cole Custer or Ryan Herbst, do they go to the front row Motorsports? It's going to be interesting to see where some of these drivers go. I think out of all of them, I think Ryan Preece is the one that may not find a cup ride next year. But that's my opinion. We're going to move on from that. I don't want to spend all the time on that topic, even though that's a massive topic and probably the biggest topic of the week. But let's go into this race because the Coke 373. I thought it was a solid race. I would still say it wasn't as good as the Xfinity Series race, but it was a good mile and a half race, multi-groove, but they still felt like it was hard to pass. Christopher Bell gets the win in a rain-shortened race. William Byron, Christopher Bell were probably the best cars. Braggers Lawson came on strong in the long runs. Tyler Reddick, then Hamlin, Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs got his first pole of the season, so congrats to him. But if we get right into it, the way this race ended was due to rain. I would say we were right around, it was in stage 3, about 50 laps into stage 3. Rain, there was already talks about rain coming. And when the rain hit, they stopped him, they parked him, got out, and it rained really hard. And I think that we were worried that they got a call. Now, looking like there was going to be a window opening, and the rain was going to stop after like 30-ish minutes, close to around 10:15, I believe, is when it was going to stop. So, it rained for a good almost hour, 45 minutes. Rain stopped, track drivers out. The other side of this is Kyle Larson came back from the Indy 500 after finishing 18th. He was running really good. Kyle Larson, if we can talk about it really quickly. Kyle Larson had, I think, a great race all day. He was running inside the top 10 for the race. Got over there in the top 5 right when he made his pit stop, but then sped on pit road. It was something I think that was one of the worries about. He's never experienced live green flag pit stops coming in at that speed, and then also getting down the speed. I know they have a kind of a button that they push that takes them to the exact same speed, so they don't have to manage the speed through pit road. But got a little aggressive, trying to get more up, maybe kind of how he does in NASCAR. Hurt him from a day that you never know. He could have been in a position to win this race. We do not know. Congrats to Joseph Newgarden. But after the race, the race was going on. Due to the fact that Indy 500 got pushed back into closer to when it was going to end into the NASCAR window, Kyle Larson had to make a decision. He chose IndyCar instead of NASCAR. We'll get into that later. But at the same time, this rain delay from the Coach injured, Kyle Larson's flying in, and right when he lands, he throws his helmet on and stuff, and that's when they pretty much tell the drivers to get out of their cars all at the same time. So we wait for a good, I would say, hour and a half. And it looks like the rain stops, they're going to dry the track. And it looked like, okay, I think NASCAR, it's Memorial Day, Monday, it's maybe a late, we have 150 laps to go. Kyle Larson's here. We got, I think there's a lot of things that were involved in why NASCAR wanted to hopefully try to get this race back going. But all of a sudden, Fox comes on and talks about, kind of gives a recap of the whole weather situation, and then says, due to the humidity, the freaking humidity in the air, that the track crew is not really able to get the track dry enough, so they are going to call the race. NASCAR calls the race because of humidity. After giving the fans, as NASCAR, you can't give fans the hope, and you can't pretty much give the fans the sense that you're trying to get the race back going. You go through this whole process of drying this track. The rain is stopped. You're having these track dryers, and then you decide to say, because of the humidity, we're not going to keep going. Because then an hour later, around 12:15-ish, because they called this race probably around 11:15, the track was dry. No freaking air tightens at all. People were posting pictures. It was freaking dry. And they're saying that it was going to be too hard to dry this race because it was going to go too late into the morning. They were probably going to reset this race maybe around 12. And it was going to probably go from, maybe 2 a.m. in the morning, maybe 3 a.m. The freaking track we're in Charlotte. The teams are 20 minutes away, and NASCAR calls this race like that, and they use the dumbest excuse I've ever seen. They say that humidity is the reason. It was, in my opinion, as watching this sport, it was one of the worst decisions and worst excuses I've ever seen NASCAR make. It was terrible. It was really, really bad. Really, really bad. And I think there was probably a joint decision. It was maybe some NASCAR. A lot of people thought it was Fox. Kevin Harvick brought, kind of shot back at fans saying that it was a Fox decision, saying it was wrong, saying it wasn't true, all this stuff, make a big joke about it. I'm not going to believe Kevin Harvick because I'm still going to say Fox had a point, but I don't know what Fox is going to program that needs, that needs to be shown still in a NASCAR race. And I'm not even saying it was Fox, but it's just terrible. But congrats to Christopher Bell, gets his second win in the season. Brad, man, I thought, can Brad get back to back? Great run over Brad. Another, win, second place. Great for him. Denny Hamlin fifth. There was some drama between Denny Hamlin and Chris Buescher about the pit road situation because they all kind of pitted right there, and Hamlin was up in the top 5, and Buescher, because he wrecked in practice, was qualified, started last. So there was a big argument there about some people should have pulled in deeper or less deep, and it was a big, Denny Hamlin got really heated. So it looked like the situation could have been a little bit better, but they never really got a chance to maybe make it better because they never got going again. But overall, I think the race was okay. But definitely was not as good as the Xfinity Series race. That race was really, really great. We had some freaking heavy hitters like Kyle Busch, Ty Gibbs, Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott took home the win. Great race, I thought. The cars are all on edge. They're sliding around. They're freaking taking people's airs away, getting loose. Kyle Busch, I think, had probably the second best car. The best car, I think, all day was Justin Allgaier. Justin Allgaier had a fast car. It was a driver's-only broadcast, which was really entertaining. But Justin Allgaier, I think after stage 2, got caught speeding. So then he had to fight his way back. And that really, I think, took away his opportunity to win and be in control of this race, which I felt like really stinks for him. But I would say around 15 laps ago, the biggest story in that was been announced was the battle and this pretty much the big wreck between Austin Hill and Cole Custer. They got really aggressive with each other, and it looked like Cole Custer kind of forced Austin Hill up towards the wall in turn 4, then down the tri-oval. It looked like Cole Custer doored Austin Hill, and then going into 1 and 2, Austin Hill. Austin Hill blew a tire, cut a tire down, probably due to the door slam that Cole Custer had on Austin Hill. And then right after that, all you see is Austin Hill just pushing Cole Custer's car in the backstretch, just pushing him like this. Just keep pushing. And then ends up turning Cole Custer around. And do that, Austin Hill has been fined $25,000 and loss of 25 driver points. That is a massive. I believe Austin Hill was the points leader. Now he's third place because of that penalty. But what is crazy to me is that they're pretty much saying that what Austin Hill did was intentional. He intentionally meant to spin out Cole Custer, which I think he did. But the week before that, Kyle Busch intentionally and also admitted to wrecking Ricky Stenhouse, and Kyle Busch has no penalty. Austin Hill gets a penalty, which probably should have been even bigger than what he had. But Kyle Busch, no penalty. They both probably had intention behind it, but no penalty for Kyle Busch. Even Ricky Stenhouse freaking threw a punch at Kyle Busch, $75,000 penalty, and now Austin Hill intentionally wrecked someone that could have been more severe and more dangerous, and then $25,000 penalty. What the frick? This doesn't make any sense. To me, the thing about it is if we look at like NASCAR's big penalties, like L1, L2, L3 penalties, those are like, cut and dry. How do you get this penalty? It's because of this or this and this. And this is how much you get for if you break that rule and how much points you lose, right? But when it comes to whether or not you intentionally wreck someone or threw a punch, it's all on it's like a judgment call by NASCAR whether or not, how big your punishment is. It just doesn't make sense. It needs to be cut and dry in my opinion. And it's just so frustrating, man. Holy crap. Oh my goodness. That was a big thing there. The truck race was an okay truck race. I mean, Nick Sanchez, I think Corey Heim had like the best truck, I think all day. And then due to some, pit mistakes, trouble on pit road, he ended up finishing second, trying to run down Nick Sanchez. But also, Corey Heim had 2, I think, loose wheels doing his final pit stop. So he ended up getting disqualified, or he finished last because of that. So, but congrats to Nick Sanchez, another win for Spire / I forget what team Nick Sanchez races for. It's not Spire. I think it is Spire. No, it is Spire. No, it's not Spire. I forget the name of the freaking truck team he races for. That's really bad. No, it's Red Racing. Yes. Nick Sanchez races for Red Racing. Excuse me there. Sometimes my brain just freezes. I forget what I'm freaking trying to say. But no, congrats to Nick Sanchez. Great race there. Solid race. Average truck race. Nothing too exciting. Nothing too mind-blowing, I guess you could say. All right, now let's get into the thing that when it comes to Kyle Larson. So far, NASCAR has not granted Kyle Larson a waiver yet. Due to the fact that Kyle Larson missed the Coca-Cola 600, there's this whole talk. Should he get a waiver? Because there's a lot of people that have a lot of opinions. Kyle Larson chose to stay at Indianapolis 500 and run that race. They had a lot of money, resources in that race, a lot of effort. I mean, it makes sense why he would stay. But due to the fact it interfered with the Coke 600, excuse me. And he not able to run that Coke 600 because he never got a chance because of the rain. And he wasn't going to, even if he was able to go back out there and run that race, he wasn't going to get any points for it. Well, in the past, NASCAR has granted drivers waivers for suspensions, injuries, all of this freaking crap. They give out waivers like candy. Well, for some reason, NASCAR has not given out a waiver to Kyle Larson for missing the coach's injury because of the Indy 500. And a lot of people, Jordan Briakis was on his podcast, The Teardown, pretty much saying that Kyle Larson chose to stay at the Indianapolis 500. He chose to stay in that race instead of coming to NASCAR's race and NASCAR's event. And that's why he shouldn't get a waiver. But on the other hand, Kyle Larson gave NASCAR so much publicity, so much coverage, so much promotion for him running the Indy 500. It was a massive, big deal for both series to have Kyle Larson racing in the Indy 500. It was huge. He had a great race until that freaking penalty, his speeding penalty. And I think it's crazy that if NASCAR does not grant Kyle Larson the waiver, it'll be the worst decision they made. And I think I've seen on the NASCAR.com app, Kyle Larson is shown in the regular season points, but not the playoff standings. Kyle Larson has been taken away in the playoff standings. Whether or not this is meaning that he's not going to get a waiver, or this is like NASCAR milking the freaking crap out of this drama, freaking Kyle Larson should get a waiver. But in a way, if they don't, it kind of makes sense. The reasoning to me would be that he chose the Indy 500 instead of a NASCAR race, which he is obligated to go to and race in all those races. So really interesting drama. We'll see if the news comes, any news comes out in the coming days about a waiver. I don't think Hendrick, as we're speaking right now, has has talked to NASCAR about granting a waiver. So we haven't heard anything about Hendrick wanting a waiver, asking NASCAR for a waiver, applying for a waiver is a better term to use it. So we'll see with that. All right, now we're going to head into some silly season news. I know we already talked about one major silly season news, which was the biggest news of the week in the Stewart-Haas situation. But now we get into some maybe smaller stuff. But Parker Retzlaff, who races for Jordan Anderson Racing in the 31 Chevrolet, will be making his Cup Series debut in the No. 62 for Beer Motorsports at the Coke 400. Beer Motorsports is a small single car team, part-time team. They mainly race in super speedways. So really cool to see Parker Retzlaff. He's a solid, young, talented race car driver. I believe his better half, I think it was his girlfriend, won the better half dash last night too. So, or whenever you're watching this on Wednesday. So cool for him. Gonna be a great opportunity. I'm not really sure how he'll do. I mean, Beer Motorsports, it's a super spread speedway, guys. So he'll have potential. But I don't really know how this is really supposed to really help him learn anything of the next gen car. I'm not sure how he's really going to, show any of his potential to Cup Series owners because of this, because it's a super speedway. So, you just hold it wide open and draft. It takes a lot of skill, but, there's no off throttle time. This isn't the best way for him to showcase his full potential, in my opinion. But really cool opportunity. Another big thing is Clint Bowyer. Yes, Clint Bowyer drove for Michael Waltrip Racing in the 14 for Stewart-Haas Racing. He used to be sponsored by 5 Hour Energy. He's making his NASCAR return. Going to be racing in the 07 Chevrolet for Spire Motorsports at Nashville Super Speedway. Man, I'm excited for this. I think anyway, cool to see how Clint Bowyer does. He's going to be in a really fast truck. A truck that has one. Kyle Busch has one in it. He's won twice in the 7 truck. So really, really cool. I can't wait to see how he does. Clint Bowyer also works in the booth, so this will be after he's done in the booth. Really, really cool. But we're interested to see. I think someone make a joke that they need to pay Kevin Harvick to be in the booth for this race. That would be kind of hilarious. How much he makes fun of Clint. That would be really, really cool. Be also really, really interesting. But really awesome. Looking forward to seeing that. Also, when it comes to the charter agreement, a lot of talk. I know I kind of brought it up and talked about last episode, but this new charter agreement, Cup teams got the NASCAR's latest charter agreement proposal this past week. So, be interesting to see what teams sign. I think all teams realize they got to make an agreement sooner rather than later. But one of the big things is that the new charter agreement pretty much limits teams to only 3 charters. So only no 4. They're trying to limit 4 car teams. Now, Joe Gibbs Racing and Hendrick Motorsports will be granted into that deal, meaning they don't have to worry about getting rid of it. There's going to only be 2 4-car teams, which is a little bit weird. People bring up how the fact now, won't the 4-car teams have the advantage now than the 2-car teams, which probably should be, and they would. So that's the one thing that doesn't really make any sense, and to me, seems a little bit unfair for those teams that can all, those 4-car teams will have an advantage over the 3-car teams and 2-car teams. So I don't know. I don't really like that. I don't know what the freaking rule. I guess they just want to open up more opportunities for new owners to come into the sport. But here what I'm going to handle is that NASCAR, there's only certain owners that NASCAR wants. There's other owners that NASCAR doesn't want. So really weird there. I guess also I was hearing that these new owners, if there's new owners in the sport, they have to get approved, and there's a vote that other owners get to vote whether or not they want this new owner to come into the sport. So that's something I learned about the whole ownership process and how that stuff all works. So it'll be interesting to see, how recent or how soon we see some teams signing on to the new charter agreement. I think it does. They do have. There is guaranteed more money in this deal, I believe. I don't know if it's as much as teams want, and also I don't think the charters will be permanent. I think it'll probably still be on a 7-year deal. Every 7 years, they have to renegotiate. I'm not exactly sure that's true and all. But very interesting stuff. We'll see. The last thing I wanted to bring up is Carl Edwards had a media session on Zoom and had some really, really interesting stuff because he just wasn't done into the Hall of Fame, which was really awesome. Love Carl Edwards, fan favorite, great sponsorships, Aflac, Subway, Eris, Scott's, lawn care stuff. A lot of great sponsors, the backflip guy. Well, really, really interesting. He asked a lot of questions. One of the things that he's a lot more, Carl Edwards is much, much more open to doing TV than I have been, but he will not be back in a Cup Series car again. So Carl Edwards is more open to doing TV, but does not plan to ever race a Cup car. I know I was hearing stuff because, he respects the sport, he knows it's hard, but he has been doing some sim racing. Not sim racing, but he's been doing some sim work for other teams. I'm not sure what teams, but he's gotten into some sims, and he says he did some of that last year, and he's wanting to do some of that. He's going to be doing some more of that this year. So really interesting. It'd be cool to see if he does also go into TV. TV would be cool. I mean, imagine if Prime Video and let's say Prime Video and TNT bring on Carl Edwards, and you get Dale Jr., Carl Edwards, and Alan Bestwick, all 3 of those guys for 10 weeks. That would be freaking awesome. And it would be cool. I think Carl Edwards, when he was doing the Darlington throwback race last year during the NASCAR 75 anniversary celebration, I thought he was really, really good. He wasn't really commentating the race, but he was just asking questions and really intrigued. So really, really cool. And then the last thing, this whole talk is why did Carl Edwards leave NASCAR? And he was asked this. And he says how he didn't do a good job of explaining why he left. And he gave 3 reasons. I needed time. Says he needed a clean break to devote more time to family and be a better husband and father. 2, I had accomplished all I needed to accomplish in the sport for me. 3, and it's a really risky sport. I escaped without any lasting injuries, cited not wanting to risk head injuries. And then the last thing, when it comes to the 2016 race, where what would have been his last race, was leading this race, dominating this championship race, he was in the championship 4. He was asked specifically the caution at the end of the 2016 championship race that cost him the title. Edwards, I did not leave the sport because of the 2016 ended, period. So, the instant there was a caution, a bad caution where a car kind of got up in the wall, smacked it. No debris, no nothing. Kyle Edwards was dominating the race, was going to run away with it. He does not blame that for a reason he left the sport. Now, who knows? That could have been like that, that kind of had, the cap off of why he left. But I don't think that was the reason. His reasonings make sense. Now, still, we've been waiting like almost 8 years for why he freaking left the sport, right? And him bringing up that he has accomplished everything he wanted in the sport, I mean, he probably wished he had a championship, which is the one thing he probably didn't get to accomplish, and maybe a Daytona 500. But I think the way that this playoff system works, I think he was satisfied, and that's why he's no longer racing. So really interesting. All his points make sense. I'm not upset, but I'm really looking forward to hearing his induction speech in the Hall of Fame. There was a whole lot of beef. Does he even deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? I think he does. Now, yes, he's very, very young to go in the Hall of Fame. I think this is his second year on the ballot. I'm not sure that's true. But I think he deserves it. 28 wins, more wins than Dale Earnhardt Jr., which a lot of people were comparing them to. I know Dale Earnhardt Jr. won 2 Daytona 500s. Now, I'm going all Cup stats only, okay? Kyle Larson, to me, was the better driver, and definitely had a more successful career. It's just that Dale Earnhardt Jr. won 2 Daytona 500s, which is great. But Carl Edwards was way, way closer to winning that championship than Dale Earnhardt Jr. ever was, in my opinion. But it's probably going to make a lot of people mad. I probably should have said that. But that's all I'm going to talk about today's episode of my podcast. Hope you guys enjoy it. We said a lot of things. I'm sorry for, my brain sometimes freezes a little bit. I don't know why. One thing I think is kind of funny, I always apologize. I apologize way too much on this show. But hope you guys enjoy it. Give me a review, follow. Appreciate you guys enjoying. Looking forward to St. Louis Gateway. I'm looking forward to seeing Kyle Busch. Can this be the race? Kyle Busch has won this race last year in the Cup Series. Can this be the race that Kyle Busch breaks through? Excuse me. Gosh, we'll see. Besides that, thank you guys for watching. Like I already said, goodbye.